already also we are getting late. See, second lecture, because I get always time problem. And as you know, all of you, that we are running actually behind. All right, so without wasting your time, let me ask you, anybody has done this homework which I left? Answer. Hello? Hello, Sonakshi.
Yes, sir.
You have done this work, you have done this homework which I left?
Actually, sir, no.
Okay. Fine. If you have not done, I will do it. But at least you should say that I have not done it. All right. So let me do this. And remember, what is the problem? N is at least 5. And then we want to prove that all three cycles in AN are conjugate to each other. They are conjugates in the group AN. This is AN. Oh, this is N here. All right, so let me prove this first, because this is very important step for proving our simplicity of AN. Actually, I should have finished simplicity last time only. Anyway, so what do you want to prove? Again, I will write here. We want to prove that if N is at least 5, this is very important. And then I have given, then we want to prove that all three cycles are conjugates. In AN. All right, but we definitely know they are, so proof. So take 3 cycles, sigma and sigma prime. 3 cycles. And we definitely know they are conjugates in SN. Why? We know sigma and sigma prime are conjugates in SN. Can somebody tell why?
So because conjugates have
Because
same
they
cycle
have
structure.
Sorry, one at a time.
Conjugate has same cycle structure.
Yes, same cycle type. Right? And we have proved earlier that if they are conjugates if and only if they have the same cycle type. And cycle type was this new sigma. That is more detailed description of the cycle decomposition of sigma. So we know this. So definitely sigma prime is tau sigma tau inverse, where tau is NSA. But we want in AN, that is important. And of course, we have to prove N is at we have to use N is at least 5. So any idea? Any idea what you do? Have you thought? Have anybody thought or no? All right, we have given the sigma and sigma prime are 3 cycles. Therefore, definitely sigma will be like this, ABC. And there are 3 different elements in that set 1 to N. But still there are 2 more left at least to play with. So I will utilize that fact. So I will pick up D and E, which are different from this ABC. Remember, we are all these indices are in I, which is 1 to N. And now I consider transposition DE, this transposition. So therefore I know this transposition and this sigma, they are disjoint. So therefore they should commute. That is what I want to use. Then I know that sigma times this equal to DE sigma. This I know because they are disjoint. We know the disjoint cycles commute with each other, or disjoint permutations commute with each other. So therefore just compute it. So sigma prime is equal to, I will club that this D, so I am just writing this here. D sigma, this is this, and then the other side is tau DE, again I am putting comma. Inverse. Now is this equality clear? Because this inverse, this will come this side and this will come this side and they commute, and therefore this equality is clear. Is it not?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
All right. So now if what can happen? This tau either is in Sn, tau is in Sn. Either it is in An or not in An. If not in An, I'll look at this. So there are two cases. The tau either is in An or tau is not in An. And in this case, we are happy. We found they are conjugates in An already. This case is okay. This case, I will replace tau by tau times D. So this is odd and this is also odd. So this will be even. So this is in N. And therefore I produce. So therefore we are done. So the proof was not difficult, but we have to use N at least 5. All right. So now our main theorem today, that N, so this is the theorem we wanted to prove. N at least 5, then N is simply connected. N is, what do you say? N is simple. That is, N has no proper normal subgroup. This is very important theorem in many other branches of mathematics. For example, Galois theory, it is very important. All right, so proof is very simple now. We have done a lot of groundwork. So I'll utilize that. So what we want to prove that if N is a normal subgroup, so start with a normal subgroup. N is a normal subgroup. And which is non-trivial. Assume that N is not singleton identity. So then I want to prove N must be equal to whole A. This is what I want. But I say it is enough to prove this equality. It is enough to prove that N contains three cycles. Why is that enough to prove? Suppose I prove n contains a 3 cycle, then it will contain all conjugates of that in n, because n is normal. That means, and we just now proved that all 3 cycles in n are conjugates to each other. Therefore, I will get that all 3 cycles are in n. But we also proved that the n is generated by 3 cycles. Therefore, every even permutation will be contained in n, and therefore n will be equal to n. See, last time I will show you. See, earlier statement was what? Here, every n is a product of 3 cycles. That means n is generated by 3 cycles. And just now we proved if n is at least 5, then all 3 cycles are conjugates. So that proves, that will prove our theorem. Where is it? Here. Is that clear, or should I repeat?
Clear, sir.
All right. So now our aim is to produce a 3 cycle in n. All right. So let us start with any tau in n. And start with n, because n is not equal to the singleton identity, n definitely has the permutation there, sigma, and sigma is in n. And I am going to consider element, so tau is in n, therefore tau, sigma, tau inverse, sigma is in n, this is a conjugate, therefore this is also in, because since n is normal. And tau is also in. So, because normality, the conjugate of the sigma by tau, tau is in also in n, therefore it is in n. And there is a sigma also in n. Therefore, this sigma tau inverse, this is also in n. This is called a commutator of sigma and tau. This is the notation. This is also in n. Now I say that now I want to choose. We proved that also. What did we prove? Let us see. We proved that the center of the group n is trivial. That means there is definitely, if somebody is not identity, then there is definitely one element in n which doesn't commute with that. Now I want to use that. So I have this element in n and I want to choose tau. So what? So it's not, it should not commute, but I say I can choose actually a 3 cycle. So since Z center of n is trivial, and n is generated by 3 cycles, there exists a 3 cycle tau, which I will call it. So I will not call it now, but whenever I need it, I will. So 3 cycle such that sigma and tau doesn't commute. But this is equivalent to saying tau sigma tau inverse is not sigma. All right. Now I will, because this is a 3 cycle, look at that. And sigma is also 3 cycle. Sigma is also, no, sigma is, I want to choose, no, sigma is not 3 cycle, sorry. So this is, tau is a 3 cycle. And what is this then? So, what I want to say is, I think okay, so I want to not use this equality, but this is a different one I want to use it. This is, I want to tau inverse sigma tau. This is, so that not equal I should have written. So this sigma tau inverse, this is not equal to sigma. But I am writing the same. No, I don't want to write this. I want to shift the sigma this side. So sigma tau sigma inverse is not equal to tau. This is same actually, but I don't need this. You will see why I want to do the other. Now, what is this? Tau is a 3 cycle, therefore this is also 3 cycle. This is a 3 cycle. Therefore, we may assume, see, I have chosen arbitrary sigma here, but I want to, because of this, I say we may assume that sigma I have chosen, that is the product of two 3 cycles. Maybe better to write the word 2 here. 2 3 cycles. Which are they? See here, this is, when I multiply by that, I replace, so in the bracket I'll replace sigma by sigma tau inverse. Here inverse. Here also I wrote something wrong. This is a commutator, so this is the inverse here. That is why I was going wrong. All right, so is that clear or should I repeat? Please. Sonakshi, is it clear what I am saying?
So why are we replacing sigma by this commuter?
See, because, see, I chose arbitrary element here and I have no further information about sigma. But now we know, because by using the fact that n is normal, we know that all conjugates are also in n, and therefore all these commutators, the sigma tau, this commutator is also there in n.
Okay, sir.
And now we can take, this is true for every tau, therefore I will choose tau to be 3 cycle. Then this is also 3 cycle, we know. This tau is also 3 cycle, I know. So the inverse is also 3 cycle, I know. So therefore this commutator is product of the sigma. When you write these two things, product is also 3 cycle. See, this element sigma tau sigma inverse tau inverse, this is in A, this is in A, and this one I have chosen that tau to be 3 cycle. So tau inverse is also 3 cycle, and this is also 3 cycle. Right? Understand? This is 3 cycle. Because it's a conjugate of a 3 cycle is a 3 cycle. This is the inverse of a 3 cycle is 3 cycle. Therefore, the product is 3 cycle. And it's a product of 2 3 cycles.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I will replace my sigma by a product of 3 cycles. Understood? See, ultimate our main aim is to prove that this normal subgroup contains 1 3 cycle. But in this observation, I have achieved that the given normal subgroup contains a product of 2 3 cycles. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So therefore, let me note what we have proved. Therefore, we have proved that N contains a product of 2 3 cycles. So, and what do we want to prove? So that I am calling it sigma. So we therefore prove that N contains sigma, which is a product of 2 3 cycles. That sigma is a product of 2 3 cycles. Now, what can sigma be that I want to analyze? We want to prove that it contains a 3 cycle N, but I know it contains product of 2 3 cycles. So if it is not a 3, if it is a 3 cycle, we are happy, we have nothing to prove. So if it is not, if sigma is not, if it is not a 3 cycle, then I want to do something so that it contains a 3, some other element like what I have done here. So now I want to analyze what can one say about canonical cycle decomposition of sigma. That is the question. So I know it is a product of 3 cycles. So definitely I say it will be one of them. It should be one of them. Canonical decomposition of sigma. So what will be obviously it will be maybe like this. 2, I will write a disjoint A, B, C and D, D, E, F. This is one possibility. This is a good possibility. I mean, they are not meddling with each other. And there won't be any 2 cycle, because if the 2 cycle comes, it becomes odd. And if it comes pair, what is so this is one possibility. Other possibility I say is there is one element common between them, or 2 elements common between them. That is what we know, it's a product of 2 3 cycles. So one element common means it will be sigma will be like this. Sigma will be A, B, C and D, E. You see, whichever element is in common, you can bring it in the beginning and then compute the product. It will be like this. Or two elements, one element here and one element here common. Here this element was, this is a element was common. So you see here, this is a product of 3 cycles, no? Then you wrote, and other third possibility is it is a product of 2 transpositions. These are the only possibilities for the. So I am not using it as a 3 cycle. Maybe I have said wrongly. I know sigma is even. Sigma is even. So the transpositions, if at all come 2 cycles, they will come in pairs because you need even. 3 cycles, these are this is one possibility. Or 5 cycles, 4 cycles will not come. See in the canonical decomposition, the cycles which appear there, they are distinct. I mean, they are disjoint. So either the transposition appears, then they will be like 2 transpositions, or it will be 3 cycles, or it will be a 5 cycle. 4 cycles will not appear in the canonical decomposition because that will contribute to the negative sign. I mean, that will contribute to the oddness. So I can assume sigma is one of them. This is very important observation. Is that clear? This is under the assumption that it is not a 3 cycle. So this will not appear one, but it will come pair. So think of this. See, the canonical decomposition of sigma will give you these numbers, nu1, nu2, and so on. And what did we say? Sigma is even if and only if the even number of cycles is odd. There is nothing is said about the odd number of cycles. And because now sigma is product of 2-3 cycles, the support will have at most 6 elements. See here, is product of 3 cycles, therefore the only 6 elements will be moved under sigma, and the remaining guys are fixed. So in principle, I could have assumed n equal to 6. And now n equal to 6, now how we can write nu1, nu2 up to nu6? Obviously, nu6 has to be 0, because if nu6 is present, that means 6 cycle is present, then it will be odd. Or if at all 6 cycle is present, there should be another disjoint 4 cycles, because the number of even orbits should be even. Well, number of even orbits should be odd. Then only it will make up the sign 1. So therefore, the only possibility is either it is a 5 cycle, or it's a product of 2-3 cycles, or product of transposition. Because if I take another transposition, it will become the support will become another disjoint, and then it will become 6, but then it will become odd. Understand? This is a very, very crucial point, but very important. So therefore, sigma has 3 possibilities, namely this is, let us call this as 1, this is 2, and this is 3. And from this, I want to now do something so that n will contain a 3 cycle. All right. Now what do I do in the first case? In the first case, listen here. This is our sigma. So let us compute this sigma times ABC. This is the first case. I'm taking sigma is this. So sigma times this times sigma inverse times ABC inverse. See, this we know it is in n, because this is in n and this is in n. because we know that n contains a or maybe I wrote the other way. Yes, I wrote not this pairing, but see, this is in n because sigma is in n and this is in n. This is because of the normality. Because ABC is other, so this is ABC is in n, so this is because of the normality. So normality. This will, but what is that? Let us compute. I compute and say this is equal to A, B, and B. And therefore it is in 3 cycle in N. Let us now compute this. So you only have to compute this product in the first one case. So start with A. A should go to D. That is my claim. So where do A go? This is the inverse of this 3 cycle. So we have to go the reverse way. So A will go to C. Under sigma, C goes to D. D is fixed here. Am I doing correctly? So A goes to D, A goes to where? Back. It goes to C. Sigma inverse or back. B goes to D, and D goes to C. D is fixed here, and D goes to A. Can somebody, did I write correctly or I have to change? A goes to C, that is correct. C goes to, let me write, A goes to C. C under sigma goes to B. And B goes to C. And C goes to D. So this is correct. All right, now D, where do D go? D is fixed here. D goes to C here. C goes to A here. And A goes to B here. So this is also correct. B, now let us check B. B goes to A. A backward, go to E. E is fixed. And E goes to A. So B goes to A. So we have checked this. If anybody has difficulty, ask me now only. So this is clear. So in one case, in the first case, if sigma was this, we are done. Now similarly, we will do it in second case. Actually, what I have not checked here that the remaining guys are fixed. We have checked this is correct, but the remaining guy, for example, C is fixed, we have to check. So C goes to B, B goes to A goes to B, and B goes to C. So C is fixed. Similarly, you can check E is also fixed. E is fixed here. E goes back to D. D is fixed here, and D goes back to E. So E is also fixed. So everything is correct. So in one case, if sigma was this, then it contains a 3 cycle. We have done that. And now second case. Second case is I will reduce to the first case. And we will be done. So that means I have to compute in the second case what is, so in the second case, we have to compute what? We have to compute sigma ABD, sigma inverse ABC, not D. ABC, sigma inverse, ABC inverse. The same side. This I want to compute in the second case, and I claim it is A D, C, E, B. I want to check this. And how will I check this? Again, the same principle. I will start. Now this has become 5 cycle. And so I am back in the first case. And then apply this. So if I prove this, we will land in the first case. So this will go in the first case. And we know what to do there. All right, so let us check this. So again, how do you check this? I start with A and show it to you. It goes to D under this product. So A going to where under this first inverse, that goes back. So A goes to C. C, where does it go under sigma inverse? We are in this case. A goes to C. Under sigma inverse, it will go where? This inverse will come first and followed by this inverse. So, but they are disjoint, so it doesn't matter. So I will have to compute the inverse. C, A goes to C, and C will go to B under the inverse. So C will go to B. So we are done. And here, where do B go? B goes to C. And here C, where will C go? C goes to A. Oh, something is wrong. What is wrong?
So we can check these computations.
Okay, you check this computation. Maybe let me check in my notes whether I wrote correctly. C, D, E, ABC, sigma inverse ABC, and then that is in the first case we do. So this ADC, EB. This is correct. So check this I would say. And the third one, also we have to check the similar thing, which I will leave it again. So that is in this case. So that is sigma ABC, sigma inverse, ABC inverse. This, the result should be no. I know what did the mistake I did I did mistake in copying from my notes to here. So this is not C, but this is D. And this is D. Then this is correct. But we are allowed to choose this, any three. So this, not here. Now here I have to choose A, B, no, A. So see, my problem is my eyesight is very weak. So this letters so sigma is, second case is BD, correct? And the third case is sigma A, C, E, sigma inverse A, C, E times this inverse. This is again A, B, D, E, C. If you check this, we are again back to the first case. So you have to check these two equalities. They are easy to check. So what did we do? So let us summarize the proof. We started with any normal subgroup. We picked up a non-identity element there because we are assuming it is not the trivial group. Now I want to prove that it contains one 3 cycle because we know 3 cycles are conjugate to each other in N. Therefore, I want to prove, because normal subgroup, so all conjugates of sigma will contain, and if I could prove that N contains a 3 cycle, then it will contain, because N is AN is generated by 3 cycle, therefore it will contain everybody, therefore sigma, the group N will be equal to N. So I want to choose some tau in N so that the tau is a 3 cycle, but that we can do it because the center of the alternating group is trivial and AN is generated by 3 cycles. So at least one of the 3 cycle will not commute with that given sigma. If it does, then every 3 cycle we commute, and then the center will not be trivial. So anyway, so therefore, then this not equality is tau is a 3 cycle which will not commute with sigma. That means this commutator is this, and this commutator is already in n. So therefore, we may assume this is a 3 cycle, this is also 3 cycle, this is also 3 cycle. If the tau is a 3 cycle, conjugate is a 3 cycle, the tau is a 3 cycle, the product is that element. So I have forgotten my original sigma, and I assume that sigma is therefore product of 2-3 cycles. And then that means the cycle decomposition tell me that it is either this or this or this. Because only 6 elements are moving, and therefore remaining either fixed. So only your working space is only 6 elements. So these are the only possibilities in the canonical decomposition. And then each case we have disposed of. So that proves, so altogether we prove that n equal to an. So we have proved that, so that finishes the proof. Now I want to write one corollary. So corollary, if n is at least 5, then an is the only normal subgroup in Sn. All right, so, and we know An is a normal subgroup, it's index 2 in fact. So proof of this corollary. So again, suppose N is a normal subgroup of Sn. Normal. So consider two cases. Either N is contained in the alternating group, or N is not contained in the alternating group. If this, then we are done. N has to be trivial. By theorem. Because n is normal in Sn, therefore it will be normal in An also, and it cannot be proper then. Therefore n has to be the identity. Now in the other case, n is not contained in An. Therefore I can choose an element sigma in n which is not in An. That means sign of sigma is -1. And this group A has index 2 in Sn, therefore the group Sn, I will write it as there are only two cases, cosets. One is An and the other is corresponding to this sigma, sigma An. These cosets will all together will fill up the whole group Sn because the index is 2 and these are the disjoint. But we also know the center is trivial. We know center of Sn is trivial. That also we prove. It will not prove. Center of An is trivial. Before that we proved, I don't know where we proved, earlier or here. No. Center of An is also trivial. Sn is also trivial. That was easier. That was probably in the earlier lecture. All right. So center of Sn is also trivial. That means what? That means there exists. So there exists an element tau. Actually, in An such that this sigma will not commute with tau. Actually, why did I use central center of a alternating is enough actually. And this sigma is, no, this sigma is not. No, Sn only. So that means, so this means, this condition means the, again the commutator tau sigma, tau inverse, sigma inverse equal to, this element is where? This, see, sigma is in, not in n, but tau is in an. So this element, where is this element? This element I claim, this element is in n intersection a. Is that clear? Because tau is in an, so this is a conjugate by sigma, so this is also in an, and this tau is in an. Therefore, an is normal, therefore it is in an, or even otherwise you could have computed the signs. So that is this sigma, sigma, so this will become even, and this is already even, so fine. So this is not the problem, but n. Now what is in n? Sigma is in n. Therefore, this part is in, this part is in n, because sigma is in n, and this is sigma in n. So this is in both, and this is a sub of n, and therefore we know that n intersection an has to be identity only. Or the whole an, which is the possibility, or this an. And this is not possible because already we have some element there. Which element? Why this is not possible? This is so this is not possible. Therefore, only this is possible.
Because n is not subset of an.
N is not subset of an. But no, why it is not just singleton identity? This element, we have checked that this element is not identity. See, this element is not identity. Because sigma and tau, they don't commute with each other, and that is in the intersection. Therefore, this is not identity, and therefore the only choice is an. All right. Okay. 1 or 2 minutes I will give, and then we will go on to the next topic. This is not so difficult. It's only the arrangement in the proof. All right. Now, this will finish the permutation group. Now I will want to prove Silo theorems. By the way, this was a non-trivial theorem what we proved. Both the theorems are non-trivial theorems. Have you seen them before? Have you seen, what is the name? Sonakshi, have you seen these proofs
Yes,
before?
not the proofs, but yeah, I have seen this theorem in Damit-Foote book.
All right. So now comes very important theorem. There are theorems. There are 3 of them. They are about existence of P subgroups of a given finite group. And these were very important theorem because they generalizes Cauchy theorem, for example. And it gives more understanding of finite groups and their subgroups. These are the theorems which are proved by Silo in 1872. And there are several proofs, several books will give you several proofs, but I am going to give a proof which is which uses group action so much. And these proofs are due to Wieland. there is a very small book by Wieland, Theory of Permutation Groups, I think. And there he has given this proof, and that uses group action, and this proof is not same as the English book proofs, because they still don't use the full use of group action. They use only the partial use, but I am going to use a full use of group actions. So what are the theorems? So let me write the theorems first. I will write all the theorems first. So these are the Sylow theorems. So I will need a notation. So let P be a prime number. Which divide the order of a finite group, and G be a finite group of order n, and n is divisible by p. So I am going to take out p power alpha q, where p doesn't divide q, q may not be prime, and also this alpha I am denoting, it is the notation Vp of n. You know this notation Vp of n, that is the highest exponent of p in the prime decomposition of n. So this is the p exponent in the prime decomposition of n. N is a product of primes. You collect the primes together, same primes together, and raise it to the power, and this is the highest power that p divides. So this is alpha. Now p is coprime to n. Then the first theorem says the number of subgroups of order p power beta. So beta is any in between, beta is smaller or equal to alpha. So this is stronger than the Sylow theorem, but we have clubbed it together here. For any beta less equal to alpha, the number of subgroups of G of order p power beta is congruent to 1 mod p. 1 mod p. So let us give some name to that. So let us call them to be D. D is the number of subgroups of order p power beta. So I want to be consistent with the notation here. So D, let us call it D, but D depends on beta. D beta. So what we are saying is D beta is congruent to 1 mod p. So that means D beta cannot be 0. That means there exists at least one subgroup of p power beta, and particularly for alpha also. And those for, so D alpha, that are those subgroups are called Sylow, p Sylow subgroups. So that we will do it, all that accounting we will do it later. Right now this is the statement. I want to compute the number of subgroups of order p power beta and show that number is congruent to 1 mod. Okay, that is the Sylow first theorem, more than Sylow's first theorem. Sylow's first theorem is only for beta equal to alpha. And that proves the existence of p power alpha subgroups. Subgroups of cardinality p power alpha. Those are called p Sylow subgroups. That is the first statement. Now the second statement says, if I have two subgroups, one of them say H is subgroup of cardinality p power alpha, and the other one H prime subgroup of cardinality p power beta, then given this, then there exists an element G in G such that H prime is contained in the conjugate of H. This is bigger. You see, H is bigger in cardinality than H prime. This is also for every beta. So I should have written here, for every beta less equal to alpha, we have these two statements. So in particular here now, in particular, any two Sylow subgroups are conjugates because both have the power, both have the cardinality p power alpha, and this now, this has the cardinality also p power alpha, this also has p power alpha, therefore this inclusion will actually be the equality. In particular, any two p Sylow subgroups of G are conjugate. And the last one, the number of p Sylow subgroups is congruent to or divides, not congruent. This number divides Q, that Q. These are the three theorems. And I want to prove all of them together actually, because the group action will unify many things. All right, so now before I start, how much time we have? We don't have much time, but I will just tell you the plan, what I will do it. And then we execute the plan in the next lecture on Monday. All right, the plan is the following. See, philosophically, we want to prove there exists say one. We want to prove that given any beta, there exists a subgroup of order p power beta. So if this statement were true, where will that subgroup will come from? That subgroup must be one of the subset whose cardinality is p power beta. So I am going to consider the power set of G and of cardinality, not all the subsets of G, but of cardinality p power beta. So beta is given. Beta is given in between 1 and alpha. And I am going to consider this set. And I know G is operating on G by Cayley permutation, Cayley operation. G operates on G by Cayley operation, Cayley operation. And that operation is so natural. This Cayley operation is nothing but the binary operation in G. G operates on G by G prime going to the product G prime in the G. That was the Cayley operation. And we know whenever there is an operation of G on G, I can extend it to the power set of G. Now, what is that operation? So on the power set, G cross the power set to power set. What is the operation map? It is induced by this. So namely small g and a set capital X, which is a subset of G. This, where do I map? I map it to G times X. And what is G times X meaning? This means I multiply G by X as X varies in X. And remember, this X was a subset of G. So this is actually operation in G. And first thing to note that this is actually have the same cardinality. This Gx and X, they have the same cardinality. And why? The G will give you the bijective map. Any X going to Gx. That is giving the bijective map. Because the inverse is G inverse. So that is the operation. Now, not only that, X will go to some subset in G, but if X has cardinality something, then Gx will also have the same cardinality. So I will take that cardinality to be the P power beta. So this is that very natural operation of G on the power set of G, which has all subset which has cardinality P power beta. And I want to prove now this power set contains subgroup. Not only that, what I told you, I am going to do 1 and 2 together. So not only that, so now what does this P power beta, what will happen by the G operation? That will get broken into the orbits. So this guy will get broken into the orbits. Disjoint linear. Finite limiting orbit. P power, this power set is finite also. So finite limiting disjoint orbits. Now I will analyze how many orbits will contain a subgroup. If at least one orbit contains a subgroup, I put the existence. But I will also argue how many orbits will contain exactly subgroup. And what will that subgroup be? That will come from the isotropy. So the next time we will see that I want to find a criterion. So criterion I will write here what I will do. Criterion or characterization of the following thing. When can an orbit of this action contain a subgroup? How to test? And the next I will analyze then if it contains a subgroup, how many, and how many. And this characterization will involve only the numbers. It will not involve the group structure. Group structure is already used here in defining that action. And then we will count. That's it. So that is the summary. Now next time I come, we will straight away start saying that this operates on this, and I want to see when can orbit contain a subgroup and how many. And this answer will come from our class equation. All right. And of course, the examples we studied about the group actions. For example, the left coset set G by H. That information, that it is a transitive set. All right. So now, if you want to ask any question about this lecture, please ask me. I will send email.